It's crazy when you start thinking about how many types of retail locations there are. It's even more crazy now that this online lecture is broken into 3 parts, and we've already covered 10 types of retail locations, and we still have more to go. So this third group of retail location types is classified as non-traditional retail types. So this is the group of uh, retail locations that don't fit into planned or unplanned, and so we throw them all together in this non-traditional group, and you'll see why as we work through them. But the first type of non-traditional retail location would be a pop-up store. So a pop-up store is a very temporary location that generally focuses on new products or limited groups of products. You'll see pop-up stores at festivals, concerts, sporting events, farmers markets, lots of places. So here's a few examples. So a pop-up shop, if you've ever been to a major league sporting event that is hosted in a downtown or in an arena or a stadium, often on the day of the game, you will see a bunch of pop-up stores or pop-up shops. As you're walking from parking garages and parking lots, up to a mile away, where they're selling all of this merchandise. So that's really a pop-up store. Another type of pop-up store would be, they happen a lot in cities like New York and LA and California, and they are small temporary pop-up shops, generally shaped very uniquely, like a snow globe or a shoebox, where customers can actually go inside and purchase merchandise. So pop-up stores, they're usually only there for a day or a weekend. Occasionally, you will see them last an entire week. We're seeing a lot of pop-up shops that happen, pop-up stores that happen around the holidays, especially in these larger cities, to help retailers increase their sales. Another thing that we see, pop-up stores for holidays. So we often see some of these pop-up stores happen in shopping centers thanks to vacancies that are still around from the Great Recession. If there's a vacant retail store, especially in a planned retail development, a lot of times those management teams are happy to lease the space for a month or two at a time to some of these pop-up retailers for holiday materials. So we see a lot of these for Halloween, where they lease out space in vacant retail locations. Other types of pop-up stores would be your Christmas tree lots. Those are pop-up stores. They'll rent space from either, you see them a lot in big box store, freestanding location parking lots, or you'll see them in other areas where they just pop up to sell for a very brief period of time. We see it with 4th of July. Fireworks often have pop-up stores in parking lots of other retail locations. So those are pop-up stores, a type of non-traditional retail location. I'm really interested to know, I always think these are so interesting, so if you find any cool ones online, share them with us in either the discussion board or the water cooler discussion forum, because I do think these are really neat, unique retail locations. A second type of non-traditional retail locations is a store within a store. So a store within a store is usually when it's an agreement between two retailers where one retailer rents space inside the retail location of another store, another retailer. We see this a lot in grocery stores now, especially with Starbucks coffee. There's a Starbucks store within a store in our Milledgeville Kroger. We see Sephora rent space from JCPenney. That is a store within a store example. Think about other store within a store that you've seen. Why is the store within a store? Why is that partnership between the two retailers beneficial? Why does it fit so well and work for the customer? Merchandise kiosks are very small selling spaces, and they're generally located in the walkways of shopping malls, airports, college campuses, or office buildings. So you might be wondering what the difference between a merchandise kiosk and some of those pop-up stores that we talked about are. A merchandise kiosk is permanent. It does not move. So if you think about the stadium again, we'll go back to our stadium example. You might see a pop-up store on the street outside of the stadium. The merchandise kiosk is going to be located in the concourse, and it is always there. It's there every day, even not on a game day. Or similar to a mall or an airport, it's often found in the walkway, but it is a permanent location for that retailer. Airports, they get their own category, and it really is because there's really nowhere else they fit, so we put them in this non-traditional category. Airports today are starting to increase their retail offering. If you've been even to the Atlanta airport lately, there are many service retailers in the form of restaurant, but we're also starting to see apparel retailers, shoe retailers, chocolate retailers. We're seeing a lot of retailers pop up and actually start selling, and this is because studies have shown passengers, well, they have to arrive early, and they generally arrive more than an hour early for their flight. Or we see an increase in longer layovers, and so it gives people a place and a time to make purchases. Now, a downside to airport locations is that the rent is incredibly high. Often your hours range a lot longer than they would in a different retail type of location, because you're trying to accommodate travelers. And the location is very inconvenient for your employees. If you work in airport retail, you have to go through security every day. If you need to go out to your car, you have to go back through retail or through airport security. So it can be a little inconvenient, but it can be a very profitable retail location to be in. So kind of to wrap all this up, choosing a particular location type really does involve a series of trade-offs for the retail entrepreneur. Occupancy cost is a huge factor in deciding where to locate. This chart, and there's a great, this is pulled from your book, so you can get it there as well. It kind of talks about all the different factors for all the different types of locations for retailers, and so we can look at that occupancy cost and see what it is. Other trade-offs include pedestrian and vehicular traffic. You have to consider restrictions placed on store operations by the property manager or the landlord of the store, and you also have to think about the convenience of the location for your customers. How likely are they to come to your store based on the physical location? So think about your favorite retailer, or a store you shop at frequently, or a store you've been to recently. What type of location is that store located in, based on the classifications that we've talked about in Chapter 7? I also want you to think about that retailer, the location you might be visiting them in, and think about what other various types of locations they operate in. Are they only in freestanding locations, or do they operate in a mix of retail types? And then what are the benefits of that specific retailer in that type of location? So that'll kind of get you thinking and putting together a location strategy for retailers.